Oh. Whoops. Well, didn't actually mean to take that much time off between the uploads, but most of this channel we talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ, Guilty Gear Strive, League of Legends, But right now we're actually talking about a game that is not out yet and is still under current production at Riot Games, that being Project L. So if you're not aware, Riot currently right now is developing a fighting game in the League of Legends universe titled Project L. This is very similar to what Riot did with Project A, which was later retitled as Valorant. So far, we have not seen quite a bit of things from Project L, but we have seen some bits. We have seen some gameplay, we have seen some characters revealed, and we have got a brief update on the actual release date, coming out hopefully sometime either 2022 or 2023, but nothing is actually solid yet for release dates for Project L. But today what we're going to be talking about is actually the characters that we want to see in Project L. So far we've only seen a couple characters released and a couple of teased, which is basically friggin' confirmed, but Riot has given nothing for actual official hints about the next characters could be. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So unlike other games where they have a fairly decent roster, we talk about that, Riot's roster is slightly bit harder to fucking pinpoint. So like other games where we've tried to predict the rosters for other DLC characters, this is going to be slightly more difficult because League of Legends has over 150 different champions they can actually choose from. They've shown off 5. So because the video would literally be about an hour and a half, and I don't want to fucking edit that. So we'll actually be going by regions to actually go about the characters. Since Runeterra, League of Legends in-world, is pretty freaking big. And also too, I'll be actually discussing which characters are already confirmed, which ones I think have a very tiny chance of getting in the game, which has a slight-ish chance, and which is basically going to come in the game. And to make this more simple, we're just going to do it as a tier list. So I will be discussing other regions later. That will be everything from Ionia to Noxus to Demacia to Ixtal to blah Shurima, blah blah blah. So we have here right now is all the characters from Piltover at the bottom in D. And for Piltover we have Jace, Camille, Caitlyn, Ezreal, Corki, Blitzcrank, Heimerdinger, Orianna, Seraphine, and Vi. As will be the characters that are confirmed or are very, very likely confirmed, and D being the characters that are absolutely not going to be in the game. No chance at all. By the way, these are just my opinions, and this is just all for fun. Away we go. And cut to when the list is finished.
Power of editing, baby!
Well, we can see the one character I actually have who I think is most likely going to actually be put into the fighting game, which is absolutely no shit, Vi. Considering Vi was one of the main protagonists in Arcane, it's absolutely pretty obvious that Vi would actually be a strong person to actually be put into Project L. Now, this is not guaranteed, and it's also not guaranteed that we'll actually have a character from each region, but going by the regions, Vi is probably a very, 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 very easy character to actually say has a good chance of getting into the game. Next, the A tier. Jace, Caitlyn, Camille. Again, too, Jace, Caitlyn. Also being pretty obvious, the fact being that they're also in Arcane, also main protagonists in Arcane, does also seem like a very obvious thing to actually put into Project L. With the recent success of Arcane, it's pretty likely we'll actually see characters from Arcane actually make it into Project L. Even if they're actually not currently scheduled to be put into Project L, with the huge success of Project L, they actually might try very hard to actually put them into the game now, or make them as DLC characters later. But Jace and Caitlyn, definitely strong characters to actually put into Project L for the release roster. But the other character I have is a strong character that could make it into it, Camille. Having someone like Camille, having high mobility character, would actually play something similar along the lines of Android 17 from Dragon Ball FighterZ. She would definitely have something unique to actually provide to the game. Her character design is also very unique and interesting. Her lore, blah and blah and blah. It's a very definite, easy character to actually put into it, and I think a character that would look fantastic to be put into the game. That being said, there are a lot of characters they can put into it, hence why Camille is not higher. B tier, Ezreal, Blitzcrank, Orianna. Ezreal is without a doubt a character that has had a huge impact on League of Legends, so it would make sense that they want to put him into the game. That being said though, it might be slightly difficult because he is an ADC, but that being said, Jinx is also into the game, so it is still feasible. That being said, I don't know what Ezreal could really provide for actual combat moves, but again too, he still could be absolutely put in the game. Blitzcrank. Believe it or not, Blitzcrank actually does have a fairly decent chance to get into the game to actually be a bigger size character. We can actually see in the trailer that there are different size character models, and we can see that Darius is a much drastic different size than someone, say, the likes of Ahri or even Jinx. So character size might not be the most biggest deterrent in the game. That being said though, I don't know what Blitzcrank could necessarily add in terms of combat moves, but again too, he is also a character that has been in League of Legends for so freaking long. Orianna. So Orianna is the interesting one where she actually could provide something unique in terms of gameplay mechanics. Her ball would definitely be a very unorthodox way of a fighting style for Orianna, and I think would actually make her stand out. But again, too, that also could be a problem in terms of animation, but it could also be something unique. We have seen characters such as Beerus have something similar to this. That being said, though, there are still a lot of other characters, so we might not see Orianna. We might, well, the characters that don't have the greatest chance of getting in the game. Heimerdinger and Seraphine. Heimerdinger does have the biggest shot of actually getting into the game, just strictly because, again, too, he's not really a fighter. He relies mostly on his inventions. Not saying it's unfeasible to actually see Heimerdinger in Project L, but it'd definitely be harder. Seraphine, very similar to Heimerdinger. Seraphine would also be very hard because Seraphine's physical combat would be very difficult to put in, since she really doesn't do anything with physical combat in League of Legends. But then there's her platform, which is not impossible to animate, but would be very, very, very convoluted to try and animate. And honestly, I do not want to see Seraphine in the game. And last, the character that has a definitive chance of not getting into the game, Corki. The fact that Corki is stuck in his plane literally means it would be near impossible to actually get a good chance of really decent animations. It would be very, very difficult. It would make things so crazy hard to actually animate and try and figure things out with his plane. It's very similar to Heimerdinger or Seraphine, but 10 billion times worse. I'm sorry they're just not putting Corki in this game. So do I think any of these characters will be available at launch? I honestly think Vi will be available at launch, and would not be too surprised if we see Jace and Caitlyn along with Vi. That being said though, if Jace and Caitlyn are not available at launch, I would not be surprised if they would be very, very, very early characters to be put in the game as DLC. Arcane was absolutely fantastic, and I think they're really going to try and put as many characters as they can from Arcane. This being pretty prevalent because some of the characters that are already in Project L are Echo and Jinx. So it does make a lot of sense that we would see other characters from Arcane come into Project L. And the characters announced so far: Jinx, Darius, Ahri, Echo, and Katarina. But anyways, that is the list I have right now for Piltover. Please leave me comments down below, tell me your opinion. I always love to read comments. But anyways, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please go check Twitter. Please go check Twitch. And just remember, Ninja can foreclose your house.